What if God is not just restoring your life, but actually turning back time to give you the strength, joy, and purpose you thought were gone forever? If that speaks to your heart, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs this word today. If you've been feeling tired, worn out by time, or like too much of your life has already passed you by, this message is for you. This isn't just another video, it's a divine moment, a whisper from heaven straight to your heart. What if God told you that He's not just restoring your life, but reversing time itself to bring back the strength, the joy, the dreams, and the purpose you thought were lost forever? What if this is the moment where everything starts to shift? Not slowly, not someday, but suddenly. Something powerful is about to be spoken into your spirit, something that will stir the fire in your soul and remind you that it's not too late, you're not too old, and you haven't missed your moment. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why you were chosen, why your delay was not denial, and how God is getting ready to restore your youth, not just in body, but in spirit, in passion, in vision, and in purpose. Let's go deeper together. What you're about to hear could change everything. God is not bound by time. This truth may sound simple, but it carries a depth that reshapes how we view delay, restoration, and the passage of our lives. Time was created by God. It is not His master, it is His servant. He stands above it, beyond it, and outside of it. While we live bound by clocks and calendars, rushing from one moment to the next, God exists in eternity, where past, present, and future are all equally visible to Him. He does not experience waiting as we do. He is not limited by deadlines or expiration dates. What looks like the end to us is often just the beginning in His hands. In the natural world, we often grieve lost time. We mourn the years we wasted, the seasons we let slip through our fingers, the opportunities that seem to have come and gone. But from God's perspective, no time is ever truly lost. He can enter into what we think is gone and bring it back to life. When we say, "It's too late," He says, "I'm just getting started." When we feel like the window has closed, God has the authority to reopen it. He can reverse the effects of time not only by giving us more years, but by packing those years with more fruit, more joy, more power than we ever imagined possible. Consider how God showed His power over time throughout Scripture. In the story of Hezekiah, a death sentence had already been declared, but when Hezekiah prayed, God gave him 15 more years, and as a sign, the shadow on the sundial moved backward. That was not just a miracle of healing, it was a declaration from heaven that God controls time. When Joshua fought the Amorites and the sun stood still over Gibeon, it was not just it was God saying, "I can freeze time to ensure your victory." These are not poetic exaggerations or symbolic gestures. They are divine interventions that prove time submits to the voice of its creator. When we come to God, we often bring our broken timeline. We bring seasons of regret, years of rebellion, decades of delay. We assume God will only work with what we have left, but that is not the way He operates. He doesn't just start from now, He goes back. He redeems what we lost. He restores what was stolen. He revives what seemed buried. His power over time means that He can restore not only what was taken from us, but also who we were before the losses came. He can bring back the childlike wonder, the courage, the innocence, the dreams we buried under the weight of pain and disappointment. To believe that God is not bound by time is to believe that your best days are not behind you. It means believing that nothing is too far gone to be recovered. God can accelerate what was delayed. He can bring sudden harvests from seeds you thought had died in the ground. He can take years of barrenness and turn them into a season of overflow. He doesn't just make up for lost time, He redeems it. He repurposes it. He turns it into fuel for your future. What you thought was wasted, God calls preparation. What you thought was the end, He declares as the beginning of something greater than you ever imagined. This truth demands a shift in how we see ourselves and our journeys. No more giving up because of how long it's taken. No more shrinking back because of age or setbacks. The God who is not bound by time is now working in your life to reverse what you thought was final. He is speaking into your past, healing your present, and rewriting your future. You are not at the mercy of the clock. You are in the hands of the Eternal One. And when He moves, time itself must bow. Restoration is a divine promise, not just a comforting idea or hopeful phrase. It is a covenant word straight from the mouth of God, and He does not speak empty words. When He says, "I will restore the years that the locusts have eaten," He is not offering us mere encouragement. He is making a declaration from eternity into time. This promise, found in Joel 2:25, reaches beyond surface-level blessings. It touches the very essence of what we thought was permanently lost. It speaks to those years of wandering, weeping, wasting, and wondering. And when God speaks of restoring years, not just things, He is revealing His heart to bring you back into alignment with His original intent for your life. Many believers carry silent sorrow, feeling like they have wasted too much time. Whether it's through poor choices, delays, betrayal, trauma, or missed opportunities, we often feel the weight of what we did not accomplish. We compare where we are to where we thought we'd be by now and wonder if it's too late. But God does not just restore position or possessions. He restores time itself. He can give you in 1 year what you were meant to receive in 10. He can do in 1 moment what your human effort could not accomplish over decades. When restoration comes from God, it's not just about getting back what was lost. It's about receiving more than what was taken. God's kind of restoration is always multiplied. When Job lost everything, God didn't just give him the same as before, He gave him double. That is the rhythm of heaven. He doesn't replace to bring you back to zero. He restores to elevate you beyond your original state. He takes what the enemy meant for harm and doesn't just undo it. He turns it around and builds something greater with it. In God's economy, loss becomes the seed for increase, and tares become the water for future harvest. What the enemy destroyed, God rebuilds stronger. What sin delayed, grace accelerates. What life took from you, heaven is prepared to return in abundance. Restoration is also deeply personal. It is not just about physical things or external outcomes. It touches the places in your soul that have been bruised by time. When God restores, He heals the weary mind, the broken heart, and the discouraged spirit. He revives the dreamer within you. He renews your passion for life. He awakens your voice and your vision. He brings back the sparkle in your eyes that hardship tried to dim. This kind of restoration breathes life into your identity. It reminds you that you are not just someone who survived the pain. You are someone who will thrive beyond it. Many have accepted a watered-down version of life because they've accepted loss as final. But divine restoration tells you that no chapter is too dark for God to rewrite. No wound is too deep for Him to heal. No detour is too long for Him to reroute. Even the years that were lived in rebellion are not off limits to His redemption. He does not just restore what you had. He restores what you should have had if the enemy had never interfered. That is the justice of God in action. This promise is not based on our perfection, but on His goodness. It is not earned, it is received. Restoration is not a reward for those who did everything right. It is the gift for those who return, who believe again, who dare to hope again. It comes to the weary, to the repentant, to the ones who are bold enough to say, "God, I trust you can give back what I lost." And when we do, heaven responds. The promise is already waiting. God does not forget the years you cried, the battles you fought, or the sacrifices you made. He has counted every moment, and now the time for restoration is here. Spiritual youth is renewed in His presence. This truth reaches far deeper than physical energy or outward appearance. It speaks of a divine exchange that takes place when a weary soul encounters the living God. The world teaches us that time steals vitality, that the older we become, the weaker we grow, and that enthusiasm and strength naturally fade. But in the presence of the Lord, this pattern is reversed. The human spirit, no matter how tired, how discouraged, or how aged, can be made new again. This is not a poetic idea. It is a spiritual reality declared in Isaiah 40:31. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. To wait upon the Lord is not passive. It is active trust, intentional seeking, focused surrender. It is when we pause from striving, silence the noise, and set our hearts fully on Him. In that place of surrender, something powerful begins to happen. God breathes into what was dry. He waters what was barren. He infuses what was fading with new life. Our bodies may age, but our spirits are not bound to that same law. Our outer man may grow weaker, but the inner man is being renewed day by day. The world system declines with time, but the kingdom system revives through presence. Spiritual youth is marked by more than energy. It is marked by boldness, clarity, and the ability to believe like a child. When we stay in God's presence, cynicism falls off. The doubts that life's disappointments built begin to melt away. The heart grows tender again. The eyes begin to see with hope. The soul no longer drags under the weight of years, but begins to run again with fresh purpose. God is not simply restoring physical stamina. He is restoring your wonder, your confidence, your joy, and your passion for things you once dreamed about. There are many believers who feel older than their age because of what they've endured. Long battles, heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment. They wear the spirit down. You can live through a few years that feel like decades when pain is left unchecked. But that is not the end of the story. God offers a renewal that goes to the root of who you are. In His presence, even those who feel dried up and burned out can be He does not put a patch on your spirit. He gives you new oil. He does not merely cheer you on. He lifts you up on wings like eagles. An eagle flies above storms, not beneath them. That is the strength God gives when He restores your spiritual youth. You no longer crawl through life with your head down. You rise. You see differently. You move with purpose, not just motion. This is the evidence that something eternal has touched your spirit. You don't just endure, you become radiant. You don't just survive, you begin to overflow with life again. This kind of renewal cannot come from human effort. It is not found in routines or resolutions. It is born in intimacy. One moment with God can break years of heaviness. One touch from Him can reignite what 10 sermons could not stir. That is why those who wait on Him rise. They are not running on their own strength anymore. They are fueled by heaven. The exchange takes place in stillness, but the results manifest in movement. When the Spirit breathes, you begin to run again. You begin to believe again. You begin to live, not with the weight of years behind you, but with the fire of purpose before you. This is the gift of divine renewal, and it is available to every heart that returns to the presence of the Lord. God uses sudden shifts. These are the divine moments when everything changes, not because of effort or strategy, but because heaven decides it's time. Throughout Scripture and in our personal journeys, we see that while God is never rushed, He is also never late, and when He moves, He often moves suddenly. In one moment, what seemed impossible becomes reality. What felt delayed is fulfilled. What looked dead begins to live. Sudden shifts are not accidents. They are orchestrated by God with perfect timing and eternal wisdom. These divine turnarounds are not gradual changes we plan for. They often interrupt routine. They shake us out of cycles we thought were permanent. They feel unexpected to us, but to God they are right on schedule. He prepares them in silence, He builds them in the background, and when the right moment arrives, He releases them like lightning, quick, undeniable, and transformative. One of the greatest examples of this in Scripture is the story of Joseph. After years of betrayal, slavery, and prison, it was in a single day that Joseph went from prisoner to ruler. That is a sudden shift, a divine reversal that only God could author. These shifts reveal something about the nature of God. He doesn't need time to do great things, he only needs a moment. His power is not measured by process, but by his presence. He can breathe on a barren womb and bring forth life. He can speak to a tomb and call the dead out. He can touch a leper and make him whole instantly. And that same power is still at work in the lives of those who believe. What you have been waiting for, praying for, and weeping over can shift in one divine moment. The door that remained closed can swing open without warning. The storm that refused to break can vanish at the sound of his voice. Many times before a sudden shift, there is intense pressure. It feels like everything is getting worse. The weight increases, the silence grows louder, and the promise seems further away. But that's often the sign that a divine interruption is near. Just as night is darkest before dawn, so are some of our hardest battles fought just before the breakthrough. God often allows this tension to build because it prepares the soul to carry the weight of the coming glory. When the shift happens, it's not just about external change, it also marks an internal transformation. You are not the same person who entered the valley, and because of that, the mountaintop has a new meaning. Sudden shifts don't always come the way we expect. Sometimes they come through people we never imagined. Other times they come through loss, shaking, or unexpected redirection. But no matter the method, the result is always divine acceleration. You move further in one moment than you did in years of trying. God redeems time in a way only He can. The years of preparation suddenly make sense. The pain now has purpose. The waiting turns into fulfillment. And those watching your life can't explain the change, because what happened wasn't natural, it was supernatural. To be ready for a sudden shift is to stay rooted in faith, even when nothing around you looks different. It is to keep believing, praying, worshiping, and obeying, even when the heavens feel silent. Because God is not just preparing the shift, He is preparing you. He is strengthening your character to carry the blessing. He is teaching your heart to trust beyond what it sees. And when the shift comes, you'll realize it wasn't random. It was a divine act, written into your story long before you ever felt the delay. God uses sudden shifts to fulfill His promises, and those who remain faithful will see what only heaven can do in a single moment. The chosen ones are being called back to purpose. This is not just a general message of encouragement. It is a prophetic call for realignment. Many who once walked in deep intimacy with God, who burned with vision and passion, have grown weary under the weight of delay, disappointment, and spiritual fatigue. Their gifts still exist, their calling still stands, but the fire has dimmed. Life has pulled them in many directions, and for some, compromise or confusion has clouded the clarity they once had. Yet the voice of the Spirit is rising in this hour to call them back, not to a place, not to a platform, but to purpose. This calling is not based on human worthiness, but divine choosing. Long before you were born, God marked you for something holy. You are not an accident. Your story was not random. There is something in you that was placed there by heaven itself. An assignment, a burden, a calling that cannot be replicated by anyone else. Though it may have been silenced for a season, it is being awakened again. The same God who called Moses after 40 years in the wilderness is calling many today who feel like their time has passed. God is not done with you. He is just beginning again in a deeper, more refined way. When God calls you back to purpose, He does not shame you for what you missed. He restores you with grace and repositions you for greater effectiveness. You may have walked through years of hiddenness, obscurity, or even rebellion, but those years were not wasted. They were part of the process. They shaped your compassion. They deepened your endurance. They brought maturity that will now protect the very purpose you are returning to. This renewed call is not just a repeat of where you once were, it is a deeper dimension of destiny. It carries weight, authority, and oil that could only come through time and fire. God is not looking for polished vessels, but surrendered ones. He is not looking for perfect resumes, but willing hearts. Many are feeling the tug, the stirring, the quiet nudge to return to what they once knew, to prayer, to purity, to boldness, to the fire they let go of. And that stirring is not your imagination, it is the voice of God saying, "Come back." There's still work to be done. Your assignment is not cancelled, your influence is not over. The kingdom still needs what you carry, and the very wounds you thought disqualified you are the places where God is now pouring fresh oil. This is the season where God is calling his chosen ones out of survival and back into assignment. The enemy worked hard to bury your purpose in busyness, distraction, and shame. But God is breathing life into dry bones. He is awakening dormant gifts. He is reminding you of who you were before the world tried to rename you. You are not who your past says you are. You are not what your failures claim you are. You are who God called you to be from the beginning, and that call still stands. The same God who called Peter after denial, who called Jonah after disobedience, who called Elijah after fear, is calling you now. You may not feel ready, but God is not looking for feelings, he is looking for faith. Say yes again. Pick up the mantle again. Step out again. Your obedience will unlock doors that talent never could. Your yes will shake atmospheres and influence lives. There is an urgency in the spirit because time is short and the harvest is ready. The chosen ones must arise, not in pride, but in surrender. Not in performance, but in purpose. Your delay has not disqualified you. Your detour has not destroyed you. God has been waiting for your yes, and now it is time to return to your purpose with fire, focus, and faith. The restoration God is doing in this season is both internal and external. He is not just repairing what has been seen by others. He is healing the parts of you no one else knows are broken. Many people have gone through battles that left visible damage, loss of jobs, broken families, ruined opportunities. But what often goes unnoticed is the deeper pain, the spiritual wounds, the heart that has grown cold, the mind filled with constant fear, or the soul that silently questions if restoration is still possible. Yet God sees both the surface and the soul. And when he restores, he does not choose one or the other. He restores the full person. Internal restoration is the healing of the spirit. It's what happens when God reaches into the very core of who you are and begins to rebuild the foundation that life tried to destroy. It's when joy begins to return after years of sadness, when peace begins to settle in where anxiety once ruled, and when hope rises again after being buried under disappointment. There are some who have learned how to move forward on the outside, to keep working, showing up, smiling and functioning, but inwardly they are running on empty. They have learned how to survive, but they have forgotten how to live. They feel emotionally numb, spiritually tired, and distant from the joy they once had in God's presence. But now, God is coming to heal the parts of you that religion couldn't fix, that people didn't notice, that time didn't erase. He is restoring your ability to feel again, to dream again, to believe again. He is awakening parts of your spirit that have been asleep. He is reviving the gifts you buried, the worship you stopped offering, the hunger for His word that used to burn inside you. This kind of internal healing isn't always dramatic, but it is deep. It is the kind of restoration that causes tears to fall, not from pain, but from the overwhelming realization that God never left you, even when you felt forgotten. It is the peace that comes from knowing that nothing you lost has been forgotten by the one who holds all time in His hands. External restoration is when the visible parts of your life begin to shift in response to the invisible healing taking place within. It is when God begins to open new doors, bring back missed opportunities, provide resources, restore relationships, and give you favor again. It is when people begin to see fruit in your life, not because you forced it, but because God caused it to grow. What was delayed begins to move forward. What was stolen is returned in greater measure. What was overlooked is now celebrated. What was out of reach becomes reachable by grace. God begins to put the pieces of your life back together in such a way that even your past pain becomes part of a greater purpose. This kind of restoration is not the result of striving, but of surrender. It comes to those who have stayed in the fight, even when they were bleeding inside. It comes to those who chose to believe again when everything around them screamed that it was over. God is not just putting a blessing on your life, He is putting wholeness in your soul. He is restoring laughter to your home and peace to your mind. He is restoring divine order to the chaos. He is giving you back years in such a way that people will not believe where you've come from. This is not surface restoration, this is resurrection. It is the breath of God entering every part of your life and declaring, "Live again." The same God who makes dry bones live is now making your spirit, your calling, and your surroundings come alive with purpose and power once more. Chosen one, you have not been forgotten, and your time has not passed. The very breath of heaven is moving over your life in this moment, declaring reversal, revival, and restoration. God is not just touching the surface, He is going deep, restoring the years you thought were gone, renewing the youth you believed had faded, and reigniting the purpose you thought had slipped away. He is turning back time, not to relive old seasons, but to redeem them, to bring forward the strength, joy, and boldness that time and trials tried to steal. You are rising again, not in your own power, but in the power of the one who is outside time, above time, and in full control of your story. This sudden shift is not a rumor, it is your reality. Get ready to walk in divine strength, holy clarity, and restored identity. The same God who called you then is calling you now, and this time nothing will be wasted, nothing will be missing, nothing will be withheld. Your youth is not just returning, it is being supernaturally reborn. Thank you for allowing me to share this word with you today. May your heart remain open to the voice of God and your spirit stay aligned with His timing. I pray you leave with renewed hope, deeper faith, and the joyful expectation that the God who called you is also the God who is restoring you. Stay strong, stay surrendered, and stay ready. Your best days are being written by the hand of the Eternal One. God bless you abundantly.